Let me preface this with some facts about me. I'm not by no means a writer or a person that really shares stories or anecdotes in the written form. I'm a talker usually. I am also not or wasn't a believer in the paranormal. After this experience, I believe in something. This is a fairly short story of an experience I had around 3 years ago, during a time my wife and I were having issues. No idea if that affected the events or not. Just a weird correlation. I was alone. Kids were put to bed on a late chilly Sunday night. In around October, I had been preparing for weeks of work that lay for me, as well as unpacking a lot of the stuff from boxes, which were then stacked up neatly at the front door of my house. I was trying to do things around the house to impress or please my wife, who had gone to stay with her mother in a neighboring city. We had been having problems for the better part of a year, so I was feeling lonely and depressed and just generally down on myself that weekend. I lived on the corner of one of the main roads in my town at the time, giant high school right across the street. Lots of traffic usually through it slows down around 11 on the road. It's still busy enough the cops would set up traffic stops from time to time later at night. The other part of the corner I lived on is a dead-end road with 4 houses counting mine. A single guy with an adult son, an elderly single woman, and a couple that doesn't have kids. It's probably pushing 12 a.m. and I'm winding down what I'm working on and thinking about going to bed. Suddenly, I hear baby crying. My kids are like 6 and 9 at the time, so I go check, and it isn't them. It sounded like it's outside, so I just peek out the door, and I see this misshapen thing, pretty far off, sort of shambling up the sidewalk. No more baby sounds. By this point, I had stepped all the way outside, and the storm door slammed behind me. As it did, whatever it was, turned around. I couldn't get a good view of it, and by the time I started to turn, I had to quickly run back inside. I don't often get freaked out easily, but this did the trick. I closed all the windows, blinds, and curtains, and grabbed the machete saw thing. I stood at my closed door, freaking out. Then I heard the footsteps come up to my door, only it sounded more like hoof steps, or distorted high heel steps. I waited a few minutes, maybe 5 or so, after hearing the steps, and threw open the door, machete in hand. The neat stack of broken down boxes was knocked over. Not only knocked over, but almost fully covering my sidewalk, as if to muffle the footstep sounds that would have been made up on its exit. There was nothing else, no signs of it. I didn't learn till later that sounds of skinwalkers make, which is what led me here to tell my story. Was it a skinwalker? Are they attracted to loneliness or negative emotions, sadness? Did it try to feed off my fear of thinking it was at my door? For weeks I was scared it would be there when I rounded the corner of my house. That's pretty much it.
Me and my girlfriend decided to head up to the Marshall Lake in Flagstaff, Arizona, to do some dispersed camping. It was beautiful during the day, but the moment the sun went down, we decided to put the fire out and head to the tent. Since it was so cold outside, the moment the sun went all the way down, we were laying in our tent and getting ready to get some sleep, even though it was early. Keep in mind, we were in the middle of nowhere with no one nearby, probably 1.5 miles from the closest tent we saw. 30 minutes into laying down, me and my girlfriend heard 2 very distinct footsteps right behind our tent. We didn't hear anything walk up, and it was so close we grabbed our bear spray and decided to poke my head out the tent to see if anything was nearby. Absolutely nothing. We got back to our sleeping bags pretty spooked, and then 15 minutes later, we heard it again, and we decided we didn't feel safe and left. We hiked out of the woods and got a motel. Are there skinwalkers out here? Because we saw no animal tracks behind our tent, and we know for certain I heard footsteps around our tent. It was a full and very bright moon. I don't know if that makes a difference. I don't know anything about skinwalkers and didn't even begin to believe in them until now. We heard someone unloading shots at something at one point too during the night. We believe it was from the campers 1.5 miles away at the head of the trail. I thought it was odd that someone shot one magazine and didn't shoot anymore. But as we hiked back out, about an hour later, they also packed their camp and left as well. We safely got all of our gear and got out of there and home safely. Please, everyone be safe camping or hiking around Flagstaff. Back in 2021, a friend and I were splitting rent on a tiny farmhouse in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico. While working, anytime she was away from her room or out of the house, the door was open. One night, I fell asleep on the couch. I woke up hearing her call me from outside that she needed help. She sounded absolutely terrified. I started to jump up and run to the back door. But something in my brain said to look at her door. It was firmly closed. I noped right into my bedroom, a grown-ass woman, and climbed into my bed and pulled my covers over my head. The next morning, she said she'd been in her room all night and had never heard a thing. I can't testify to the existence or non-existence of skinwalkers, but NM made me believe in them. I never went outside late at night by myself again while we were there.